As many Nintendo fans may relate, Majora's Mask was a game that I loved as a kid. It had all the dark themes I was obsessed with. Monsters, the paranormal, and even the undead. One of those things I have always been mesmerized by was the mystery behind Kamaro, the dancing spirit. If you don't remember who Kamaro is, he is the ghost you find located atop one of the mushrooms on the north side of Termina Field between midnight and 6 a.m. He died filled with the regret that he would never be able to spread his dance to anyone. I want to know, what is the reflection from the real world that represents Kamaro and his dance? What origins did Nintendo draw inspiration from? In the late 1950s in Japan, this style of dance began to emerge called Butoh, also known as the Dance of Darkness. It is an avant-garde style dance and is often associated with themes of death, grotesqueness, and discomfort, spirituality, individuality, and culture, white body paint, shaved heads, uncanny appearances, and sometimes minimal clothing, and slow, contorted, full-body movements. I strongly believe Nintendo drew inspiration from this style of dance and channeled it into Kamaro. His dance is Butoh. Why do I think this? Let's start off with the emotions linked between the two. As everyone knows, in war, people die, lives become irreparably changed, and the amount of strong emotions and grief one can feel during times of war is not something I can easily explain. World War II was a very pivotal point for many, many countries, Japan being amongst one of the most impacted. Butoh was created during post-war Japan, a time of unrest, uncertainness, and grief, as well as a reaction to the Japanese arts changing and transitioning. It was created to preserve those arts and as a form of defiance against censorship and the Western influence. Grief, spiritual unrest, regret, defiance, and the unbending will to preserve art and culture are all things that were tied with the creation of Butoh. I can't help but see the connection there with Kamaro, a lost spirit filled with those very same feelings. Grief and regret is something Kamaro feels fiercely, so fierce it keeps him from passing on to the afterlife. He wishes for his dance to live on, but it will die with him if he leaves the material plane. His defiance against his own death, his dance's death, is memorable and significant to me. The only thing that allows him to move on is playing the Song of Healing and Link's reassurance that he will pass his dance on to others and that it will not die with Kamaro. Kamaro's mask has a very odd appearance to it. When Link equips the mask, it covers his face entirely, making it completely blank, much like what the white body paint many Butoh dancers wear in their performances. This is one of the most popular aesthetics associated with Butoh, the white body paint being worn from head to toe. One of the meanings drawn from this is the white paint turning yourself into a blank slate to mask your individual features and find your true, authentic self. Which is exactly what Kamaro's mask does for Link. Aside from this mask making Link's face blank, all the masks Link finds are just another way for him to cover and switch between different identities. This mask is no different. Whether Link does succeed in finding his true authentic self is up to the interpretation of the player. The other darker meaning behind the white paint is, well, death itself. And not to state the obvious, but Kamaro is quite dead, a spirit stuck in that liminal space between life and death. I know he is a ghost, but he does have very pale white skin, so I could imagine him wearing white body paint. He also has a partly shaved head, which is another common trait for Butoh dancers to have shaved heads. I also noticed that Kamaro's nails are painted pink, and while there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, it is considered socially taboo in some cases for men to wear nail polish, depending on many factors like the general area, time period, and societal expectations. And Butoh is all about the taboo and defying societal expectations. While these traits are all often seen in many who practice Butoh, it's not required to be a dancer. You'll see just as many people dancing with a full head of hair and not a drop of paint in sight. The two dancing twins of the Gorman troupe, Judo and Marilla, are in a bit of a predicament when we find them. During the day, they are each found in the Stockpot Inn, both nervously pacing, with Marilla in the room booked for the troupe and Judo in the halls. The twins can't decide what moves to have in their dance, and aren't able to do any stage rehearsal for it either, which does not aid the problem at hand. Changing the song is not an option either, since Guru Guru will get mad. Marilla even debates going back to their home village, but decides against it, knowing her sister would be upset. At night, they are located in West Clock Town, attempting to practice their dance. Trying to speak to them will get you yelled at. They have no time to talk and are under a lot of stress, so the reaction makes sense. They have each exhausted pretty much all of their options and are desperately trying to figure out how they are going to keep their audience entertained from start to finish. The only thing that will grab their attention is dancing. Equipping the mask to teach Kamaro's moves to the sisters will make them ecstatic, falling to their knees and calling Link their dance master. Learning Kamaro's dance seemed to have greatly impacted them and changed their lives for the better. It made them happy enough to give Link a piece of heart to show the love that this dance had brought into their lives. For many, Butoh is more than just a dance. It is a way of life. It can be a guide for you finding your way and exploring who you are as a person. Butoh can also be a transcendental experience, a journey outside the human body. The main point I'm making here is Kamaro's dance and Butoh made impacts on people's lives, for the better. I actually may be reaching quite a bit here, but I think it's significant that the Rosa sisters come in a pair. Tatsumi Hijikata and Kazuo Ono are the two co-founders of Butoh. They both collaborated to create this dance, but each went down two different paths and have created their own distinct styles. I think Nintendo picked different aspects from each of these styles and combined them to create Kamaro and his dance. Hijikata focused on the darker themes of Butoh: death, decay, the grotesque, and the more discomforting aspects that challenge the norms of Japanese society. Kamaro, being a dead man, lost in a living world filled with regret over unfinished business, is on par with Hijikata's associated themes of Butoh. It's a lonely, twisted end that I don't think anyone wants to experience. It seems implied to me that Kamaro was isolated in life, having no one to teach or share his love of dance with. Even in death he was alone, found on the outskirts of town on top of the mushroom-shaped pillar, resembling a little island isolated from everyone else. I think his goal to use his dance to bring the world together, to stir into a giant melting pot, was a desire to end this loneliness. Hijikata did not possess this same desire to share Butoh with the rest of the world, however. Hijikata was very anti-Western and would not perform outside of his home country or teach to anyone who wasn't Japanese. Ono, on the other hand, was far more accepting of sharing Butoh with everyone. He performed in many places across the world, a goal Kamaro and Ono shared. Ono's way of Butoh was shared with many other countries and different cultures, and honestly did bring many people together. Kazuo Ono was also a very spiritual man and improvised every single dance he performed. No dance was ever the same. He relied on how he felt in the moment and what seemed right for him, which is a complete opposite to Kamaro's dance and Hijikata's style. Hijikata always had his performances planned out. He also taught stylized and choreographic moves through images and words. Kamaro's dance was always the same set of learned moves as well, practiced and precise. His dance contains some unnatural positions and full body movements with many twists and turns, which checks off some of the boxes in Butoh dancing. These movements are also super flowy, which I didn't see much in any of the Butoh dances I watched while researching visual examples. It's not to say none of them were, it just looked more common for dancers to have more jerky, sudden movements. They are, however, still full body movements that are brimming with different emotions, energies, and sometimes a story. One performance that I've seen titled Klara K by Sofya Shaikut demonstrates this. Her performance tells the story of becoming a yokai, a spirit of possession and control, and the frustrated desire to escape it. And you can truly feel the tension of that desire build up throughout her performance. She starts off moving slow and stiff with a smile on her face, like she's confident she still has that sense of control over herself. But as the video continues, you can feel that slipping away as she becomes more and more frustrated, almost chaotic even. Her movements become more shaky and sporadic, her facial expressions changing to ones of horror, anger, or even insanity. You can truly feel how desperate she feels to escape this, but ultimately I believe she was forced to accept her fate in the end, as her movements slow down and she hangs her head in acceptance and defeat. The story that was told by Sofya's dance truly resonated with me. Even Kamaro's dance moves tell a story. Starting off in his first position, he is squatted down with his hands held together in front of his chest, almost looking like he's holding a globe, like he has the world in his hands. He suddenly spins around, spreading his body outward and around himself, and steps side to side. I believe this represents his want to travel around the world and to spread his dance like he always wanted. And in the end, you were able to grant him that wish. Maybe not actively spread it to the whole world, but he trusted you to at least plant those seeds for him, which was all he needed to be at peace.